How's it brawling, guys? Dr. Nemesis here, coming at you today with a brand new episode. Today, I bring you the very first ever tier list. Now, this tier list was put together by myself, and it's not really a personal opinion. It is it's based on, I don't want to say statistics, but research and overall use rate, and just how good each brawler is independently. So again, this is mostly just talking to people that play the game, my own personal experience, and just a little bit of research that I've done both on Reddit and on a couple forums, just kind of examining the brawlers. So we're gonna go. This ranking video is based on two things. How easy is the brawler to use, either A, once they're obtained, or B, if you just pick up the game and you're able to play as this specific brawler, how easy are they to use immediately off the bat. So there's that, and then there's versatility. How good are they in any game mode, not just specific game modes. So if some brawlers are really only geared towards a specific game mode, or if they overall are just not very good unless they're in a specific team comp, then that's going to affect them pretty heavily in what ranking they come in at towards the tier list. So that's pretty much it. And then of course there's how fun is the brawler to use. Are they fun to use, or are they just more of a are they kind of a pain to deal with, both when you're using them and or when you're facing them? Just kind of how do you deal with them in general? Are they fun to play with? Are they fun to play against? Or are they just frustrating to play against and annoying? So starting off this tier list, we're going to start at the very bottom. This list, I've been working on it all day. And well, not all day, just today, but for a couple of days, just been doing my research. Anyway, coming in at number 21 is Piper. So Piper, the reason she's at the very bottom of the barrel for this particular list is just because she's not very easy to use, and her reload time is just absolutely, it's just really difficult to work around. If you miss a shot, or if you miss two shots, you're pretty mumuch screwed unless you have her super. She does do a lot of damage at maximum range, but that doesn't make her very fun. It doesn't make her very easy to use, and she's very specific team-wise. She's not very versatile. For example, if somebody's attacking the safe, or your safe on your side of the map, she's not somebody that you can just defend the safe with. She's not very versatile. So that's why number 21 is Piper. That's that. So coming in at number 20 is Pam. Pam, her biggest problem is I don't feel like she does very much damage, and she's another brawler that's very skill based. You really have to practice and really have to dedicate time to get good with Pam. She's not somebody that you can just say, oh, pick it up and start using her and you're immediately good with her, because she doesn't have the damage per second to keep somebody consistently wanting to beat her. And then as far as game modes go, she's very focused on gem grab. If I'm going to play gem grab, I only really want to play as Pam. Just because she's an optimal gem carrier, but that's pretty much it. She does take the top spot of that list, but that's a list for another day. Spoilers, by the way. Anyway, so coming in at number 19 is Mortis. Mortis is a character who has been in a tough spot for quite a while. He has a pretty good damage. He does pretty good damage, and his health is decent. It's decent at best. But he really suffers because he's a melee brawler, and he needs to be up close and really up close in order to do the damage that he needs to do. So that's why Mortis is very low on the list. He's very low on any list. But he does have his areas of shine. He does shine in more than just one game mode if used correctly, and not to mention that he is pretty fun to use once you kind of get the hang of him after a few minutes. It'll take you about a couple of matches, but you get the hang of him a little bit, and you can really have some fun with him. So that's why he's not at the very bottom of the barrel. Number 18 is one of the newest brawlers to the game, and that's Frank. Frank, again, he's another melee brawler, so he really suffers because of his range. His damage is okay. It's not anything to get excited about, but he does do pretty good in a lot of the game modes. So yeah, Frank, just overall, he's decent. The reason he ranks so low is just because he can't really compete with some of the other bigger or beefier brawlers on the list. He just gets absolutely tossed up when he competes against any of the other ones. And then, of course, the range brawlers just destroy him. So anyway, and then his super. That's all I'm going to say to that. All right, so coming in at number 17 is Daryl. Daryl is king of heist and maybe showdown. He's very frustrating to play against. He's not that exciting to use, but he's effective. He works. He's not very difficult to use other than his super. His super can be a pain if you don't know how to use it. But other than that, he's average. He's decent. He's okay. So yeah, that's Daryl. Coming in at number 16 is possibly the funnest brawler out of this entire list, and that is El Primo. El Primo is so much fun to play with. He's so much fun to just run around and just beat on people. He's just an absolute joy to use. The reason he ranks so low on the list is because he's not very versatile at all. He suffers a lot in a lot of the maps. He is a lot of fun to use when you're on somebody, just pounding on him. It's so much fun, but he's not versatile at all. And a lot of the long-range brawlers just kind of toss him and just beat him really quickly. So that's why El Primo ranks so low on the list. Coming in at number 15 is the Music Man himself, Poco. I was going to make a tier list before, and Poco was actually at the very bottom of that list, but because of some recent buffs and some recent tweaks, Poco has made his way up the list. He actually shines in a few game modes. He does really good in a couple of team compositions, and he's pretty fun to just pick up and play with. You're not gonna get upset if you're playing as him, so long as you like to be a support character. So yeah, so that's why Poco just barely beat out El Primo. All right, so next up, coming in at number 14 is Penny. Penny is, again, a new addition to Brawl Stars. She's pretty fun to use, and she's pretty versatile once you get used to her. She does take a little bit of getting used to, but overall, you can have a lot of fun with her just because of her range and her kind of back after effect. When she hits you with one of her bags, the coin explosion that happens after, that's a lot of fun too. And her turret, or it's not a turret, it's a mortar. Her mortar is, it's really fun to be able to place it and kind of guesstimate where it's going to shoot and all that. Yeah, she's fun. She's a fun new addition to the game, and she's pretty versatile in most game modes. She does really well in a lot of situations that she gets put in. So, Penny, number 14. Coming in at number 13 is actually her predecessor, which is Jessie. Jessie is an absolute beast. I think she's in the right hands. She is just a devastating brawler. But again, that's in the right hands. When you first pick her up, she's you're kind of undersold on her damage. You're not very excited about her unless you can put her turret down. And her turret is the greatest thing that she could ever put down in regards to defense or offense or just whatever you guys need. Her turret usually comes in pretty clutch. The reason she placed higher than Penny is because her turret doesn't take time to shoot. Her turret just kind of, once it locks onto something, it's just going to keep shooting at them until it's destroyed or they're destroyed. Where Penny's mortar doesn't really do that. Penny's mortar kind of shoots after a couple seconds, and it's a time. It takes time for it to shoot. So that's why Jessie just barely beats out Penny, just because her tech is a little bit better. So, yeah. Coming in at number 12 is actually one of my favorite brawlers, and that is Shelly. Shelly, everybody has Shelly. She's the first person you start the game with. I mentioned in my previous video that she is what determines whether you keep playing or don't play. But anyway, Shelly she's in a really good place right now. She does a really good amount of damage. They extended her range, and she just does good. She's not a difficult brawler to use. Her only thing is she does suffer in the range department. Now, what I mean by range is the damage in her range. The further you are, the less damage you do. The closer you are, the more damage you do when you're playing as Shelly. So Shelly versus a Colt, if they're running at each other, the Colt has a distinct advantage because his shots do the same amount of damage whether he's far away or close up. And that's what kind of cripples Shelly. She's not as versatile as some of the other brawlers on this list, but she's still good enough to be used in a lot of game modes successfully. So coming in at number 11 is probably, he's the bigger shotgunner, and that's Bull. Bull he's like Shelly, but he's a close range brawler. The reason he's higher up on the list is because he's more fun to use. Because of his tankiness, because he can take all those shots on his way in. He can actually take a bunch of shots to get where he needs to get and do his damage. On top of that, his super is really fun to use, and then if he's maxed out, he obtains the star ability, which is when the weaker he gets, the stronger he gets, which is, it's a really fun concept for a brawler, and I think he's very versatile. He fits in a lot of team compositions, just because of his damage and his health and just being Bull. So that's why he comes in at number 11. So next we're going to jump into the top 10. These are the brawlers that are, in my opinion, the most versatile and the most fun to use in general in the entire game. So this is our top 10. Coming in at number 10, we have Bo. Bo is obtained at 3,000 trophies now. Previously, he was a super rare. He was a super rare. But yeah, Bo is a lot of fun to use in the sense of he's got a pretty good range. He does a decent amount of damage. He's got a pretty good amount of health. And he's not very slow. He's about a medium speed. So overall, he's very well balanced. I think where he suffers is his super. His super is the exploding bomb or the exploding mines or whatever you want to call them. When you step on them, they explode. But anyway, that's where Bo suffers. His super is very underwhelming. Unless of course you get caught up in all three bombs, then of course you're suffering greatly and you think Bo is the craziest brawler in the world. But if you can just step on the mine and run away, watch it explode and nothing happens to you, then it feels very underwhelming. So that's why Bo makes the top 10, but he just barely beats Bull on the versatility scale. So coming in at number 9 is Nita. Nita is a really strong brawler. I think she's one of the most underrated brawlers, mainly because of her health, but she does really good damage. Her bear is very reliable both on offense and on defense, and she really thrives in almost all the game modes. She does really well in every game mode. So that's my opinion on Nita. I don't feel like there's too much explanation to going behind it, other than she's underrated, and if you're not playing Nita, you should probably give her a shot. Okay, so coming in at number 8 is Brock. Brock is a long-range brawler that he does a really good amount of damage. He's got a decent amount of health, but really he's fun. He's fun to use. He's easy to use. The damage is there, and his super is not underwhelming at all. His super does really well. So Brock, if he did just a tiny bit more damage, he would be a lot higher up on this list. But because of that, he places where he places at number 8. Coming in at number 7 is one of the legendaries, which is Spike. Spike does really well in a lot of game modes. He's really fun to use. Once you unlock him, he is just really fun to play with. Unfortunately, because of his squishiness and how easy he is to take out once you get that opportunity, that makes him kind of underwhelming when you're going against him. You're not very afraid of him. You know that if he hits you with a spike, you're screwed and it's going to hurt, but you don't really worry about it because if you get that chance, you can take him out rather quickly. So that's why Spike comes in at number 7. Coming in at number 6 is another long-range brawler, and that is Ricochet. Ricochet does a really good amount of damage. He thrives in almost every game mode. He just does so good. He's such a good brawler. His issue, the reason he is not in the top 5 for this list is because of his health. His recent damage nerfs aren't really what caused him to go down. They only had a partial effect. And like I said, his biggest problem is just his health. He really can't take any damage and just keep going. That's why Ricochet comes in at number 6. So coming in at number 5 is arguably, to a lot of people's lists, the number 1 person. But to me, Dynamite comes in at number 5. He's a really strong brawler, and he dominates every single map. That's for sure. He works great in almost every single game mode. I feel like his issue, though, is you have to get good with him. He's not somebody that you can just pick up, start using, and just immediately be good with him or have fun with him. He's another skill-based brawler, but because you're able to pick him up, and even if you just quick fire his bombs on people. The ones that do land, they do enough damage to make you say, "Oh, okay, well he's worth it." So he's in a really weird spot because he just does a lot of damage, and he's a really strong brawler in the meta right now. But for me, I just can't say that he's the absolute best because you really have to put the time in to get good with him in order to get the results you want. So, Dynamite, number 5. Coming in at number 4 is my personal favorite brawler, and that's Terra. Terra does really good damage. She does really good damage. She's really great at controlling an area, and she's really easy to use. She's not somebody who requires a whole lot of practice other than using her super. But even that, you can kind of quick fire it, and you'll be all right. She does really good in a lot of game modes, and like I said, she's just really good at controlling an area. Her health is okay, it's not the greatest, but she does a good amount of damage, and just she's a fun brawler to play for anybody who just picks up the game and is lucky enough to use her. Whether it's someone else's account who managed to unlock her, or they are really lucky and unlock her early on in the game. So Terra comes in at number 4. Coming in at number 3 is Crow. Crow is, I've said it before and I'll say it again, he is the most obnoxious brawler in the game. Because of his range and his poison, he is able to just chip away and do a lot of damage and just be really annoying. He can control an area a lot better than Terra can. And if he does get into a dodgy situation, he's the fastest brawler in the game, and he can just make a run for it. Or he can use his super and just jump out of the way. So that's why Crow comes in at number 3. Number 2 is a brawler that you get really early in the game. He's really fun to use, and he's really easy to use, and he is one of the best, just most versatile brawlers in the game. I'm talking, of course, about Colt. Colt is a beast, and because he's so good to use, whether you practice and aim the shots, or if you just spam that quick fire button, he is just a force to be reckoned with. His health is pretty good for his character. He does a really good amount of damage, and he just works well in every game mode. There's no game mode that you can say he's not gonna be good in. So Colt definitely comes in at number 2. At number 1, if you haven't already guessed it or you haven't been keeping track, it is Barley. So Barley is, I'm not going to say he's the easiest brawler in the world, but he's a lot of fun. He's versatile as heck. He's way more versatile than, in my opinion, than Dynamite, because he just works in every team composition. There's no team composition where you put a Barley and it's bad. He's able to control an area very nicely. He does a really good amount of damage. His area denial is just what makes him such a beast. And he's easy to use, because unlike Dynamite, whose bombs have a very small radius, his Jaeger bombs, he throws them, they splash, they do that splash damage, and then they have that poison effect. So even if you don't hit them right on the spot, if they don't get out of that area, they're gonna be poisoned down. So no matter what, you're doing some damage with Barley, as opposed to Dynamite, who is limited to the damage that his dynamite spit sticks do as soon as they land on somebody. So that's going to do it for this video, guys. That's my tier list as of right now. The tier list is always changing after every update or after any changes they make. So that's just how it is. It's a constantly shifting meta, and I would like to do a tier list like this. I would say probably every 6 months, just to kind of re-examine the meta and just re-establish everybody and see where everyone is at. So yeah, that's pretty much it. That's where everybody is ranked as far as I'm concerned, as far as a couple of forums argue, and as far as my research has taken me. These are the best brawlers, from the best to the worst, as a tier list. I am going to be doing some separate tier lists for every individual game mode. I'm going to do a tier list for each game mode on as their own separate video. So it's definitely stay tuned for that. And yeah, that's gonna do it for this video, guys. Hope you all enjoyed it. Let me know if you agree or disagree with my tier list. Who do you think should be in what spot? Or am I an absolute madman and have no idea what I'm talking about, and I should not do tier lists again? Anyway, this one was a lot of fun to do. It was a lot of fun to do the research, figure it out, and go from there. So yep, that will do it. Tomorrow, thinking about doing a live stream. It is Father's Day, so I'm thinking about doing a live stream, but we will see how that goes. Yeah, that's gonna do it for this video, guys. Until next time, I will see you guys later.